How y'all doing? I am bringing my show back after a long hiatus, long unintended hiatus, I might add. History's Greatest Mysteries. Now I understand that History Channel has stolen my name, which if they look back in my history of my videos, they can see I did my first episode before theirs probably was even thought of being made. So, interestingly enough, they've talked about some of the same subjects that I've talked about. So I kind of wonder if they actually did see my videos or not. But anyway, this video is going to be all about the Titanic. So, getting to the mystery part, of course. Um, Most people know the story of the ship itself, or at least aware of it. So, the some of the mysteries of the Titanic were so when she started sinking, some of the officers were not familiar with the ship because they were pirated from smaller ships. They weren't familiar with the Titanic and its operations. Why weren't they at least briefed on that? That's a mystery in itself. um, Another mystery is why did Captain Smith? Granted, Captain Smith was a great captain. There's no doubt about that. But why did he? Granted, he never had to deal with anything remotely like it before, but he basically froze up, and he never bothered to see if the lifeboats were being lowered, you know, fully filled or not. In fact, Lightoller, who some think is a hero, was the one that was letting the boats go half filled or sometimes less than half filled. But um, he never bothered to come out to tell Lightoller, "Hey, you can fit more people in those lifeboats," because they were tested in Belfast with the weight of about 68 or 70 full-grown men. So about, I'd say, roughly 400 and I want to say approximately 473 more people could have been saved. So either way you slice it, over 400 people died that didn't need to. Granted, there was not enough lifeboats for everybody on board, so you weren't going to save everybody. But, you could have saved over 400 more people if they had just filled those lifeboats to capacity. This is one of the best books on Titanic. This is a, let's see if I can get a shot of that. I can't see in here. I'm sorry. Let's try to get a better shot of that. But this is the book anyway. Titanic in Illustrated History. The text is by Don Lynch and the paintings are by Ken Marshall. And of course, the introduction by Robert B. Ballard, who discovered the wreck of the Titanic in 1985. But another ongoing mystery about the Titanic is the supposed suicide that took place. Some survivors say it was Murdoch, some say it was Captain Smith, some say it was another officer. Now, I know that controversially in the movie it's depicted as being Murdoch. But since they never found the gun, bullet, or the body, there's really no way of knowing for sure. There's Walter Lord, who wrote the book A Night to Remember, said it, think he was one of the fourth or fifth officers that might have done it, if anybody did it. But the reality is, nobody was sure. Just like for the longest time, uh, it wasn't agreed that she split in two when she sank. That's another one of the mysteries is the breakup. Some say it was between the third and fourth funnels. Others say it was closer to the second funnel, which the stern section's short that tore off is shorter than the bow, so I don't think that is accurate. But I've seen different breakup theories. Some say it rolls up in the air. Some survivors said that. Some say that it, you know, was a more shallower angle when she broke. I mean, who knows? I know Jack Thayer drew a sketch that had it depicting at a. Let's see if I can find it in here. In this book, it might be in this book. It's in a lot of other books. Yeah, here it is. This. Okay, this has it. The breakup happening at 1:50 a.m., which I'm guessing that's probably not accurate. Yeah, it hit. It has him for. So his yeah. So Jack Thayer described it, and that's how it was sketched. In fact, she was depicted at hitting the iceberg at 11:45, which everybody knows it was 11:40. I'm sorry about the other phone in the background. That wasn't supposed to happen. I'll just let it go. It won't ring long. But sorry about that. My main phone is on silent, but obviously that one wasn't. So sorry about that. Uh, where was it? Okay, so yeah, breakup theory. So being that depiction of the drawing, being that the times are off, not so sure you can go by that either. I thought you could, but the Titanic hitting the iceberg, his drawing that he described, the man on the Carpathia, the Titanic struck the iceberg at 11:45 when everybody knows it was 11:40 p.m. So, but I don't think you'll ever know because the stern imploded. So the stern was so torn apart, and then the rest of the bow, the back part that split, once she hit the ocean floor, it folded backwards. So you're never really going to know with 100% certainty, or really any kind of certainty, how the breakup occurred. And probably not the, probably never going to know the actual angle, and you're probably never going to know where it started or whatever. I mean, I've seen these different documentaries. Like, yeah, you can guess all you want, but the fact is that even the survivors that witnessed it, they were, some were confused. That they said that it didn't even break in two. So, like I said, we're probably never going to know that. So that's another mystery that will probably never be solved. Just like it seems probable that the iceberg tore rivets out and that separated the steel plates, which allowed the water to come in. Now, it was thought for many, many years that the iceberg had tore a 300-foot gash into the side of the ship. But being that she slammed into the so hard into the sand at the bottom of the North Atlantic that she's so deep in there it hides the gash, and there's really no way you can't get divers down that far to. It's too much water pressure, so you can't really dig in the dirt to see, what's going on down there. So that's another thing that will remain a mystery. Another thing I want to address about this is some of the conspiracy theories about the Titanic, and that's one of them that I've heard is supposedly the Titanic was sunk on purpose to for the insurance because of all these bankers run the ship. First of all, I don't know any banker, any major banker that was on the Titanic, and I don't know. I've never seen anything about it in all the books I have, or the documentaries, or anything. So that seems not likely. Plus, they're not going to sink a ship and kill 1,500 people because the lawsuits will be more than the insurance. Especially when you factor in the loss of property. And White Star did pay a substantial amount after. Of course, it didn't cover the loss of life or property or come close to it, but as stated in one of the documentaries I recently watched, but they still paid out quite a bit, which was an immense amount of money for that time. So, like I said, the lawsuits and all the legal stuff would have been more than the insurance would have ever been. So, you can put that theory to bed. And another thing I've heard that I'd actually put a little stock into this just because there was a guy named I forget his full name, but his last name was Stead, like W something W Stead. Okay, he was on the Titanic when she went down, but uh, supposedly there was this mummy on the Titanic that caused destruction or whatever, bad things wherever it went. But because he died on the Titanic, there's really no way of knowing whether that story's true or not. Now, the ancient Egyptians were smart people, so I mean, I don't know. I mean that theory sounds a little far fetched as well, but knowing what I know about ancient Egypt and things like that, I wouldn't completely rule it out. As crazy as that sounds, I wouldn't completely rule it out. But another theory is that the Titanic was actually the Olympic, and the just stupid shit like that. It's just like, well, first of all, the Olympic was would have come to Titanic's aid had she not been so far away. Because the Olympic was on a voyage herself at that time. And of course, another mystery is the Californian. How the captain of the Californian seemed to ignore the Titanic's warnings. Well, they apparently saw the distress rockets and didn't really think to turn on the radio. Um, Just things like that, and they apparently saw what looked to be the ship sinking. They're like, oh no, that's just the angle. Then they freaking apparently saw that she was gone, so it's like, did you not get that? It's like, obviously if it's gone, it sank. You see it tilting at an angle, it's not a good thing. So you're probably wondering, do I think that Captain Lord of the California was negligent? Yeah, based on what I know, I do. You know, I get that the wireless operator of the Titanic told the wireless operator of the California to shut up at one point earlier on in the night, but still. And nobody thought to turn on the wireless that whole time when they saw that they fired off 6 rockets. And you can't tell me they didn't have binoculars on the California. They could have seen something that just know that the Titanic was in trouble. And they did nothing. And the thing is, they're like, after the Titanic had gone down, they're like, and the chiropractor had picked up the survivors, they're like, well, is there anything we can do? Nope, not at that point. Another thing that freaking irks me is that the boats that were half full, a lot of them just never came back. They thought there was going to be a suction, which there's only the slightest little gulp. I don't know where they got that from, that, you know, a ship sinks and it creates a whirlpool. It's like, never heard of that happening. Okay. But, I guess it's possible, or at least they thought it was possible. But, they waited, they literally waited until the cries died down, which, in that icy water, you all know what that meant. So, I don't know how the hell you can just, you sit there and you listen to those people screaming for help and you do nothing. I don't know how the hell anyone can live with themselves after that. I know I probably wouldn't be able to. There's enough life jackets for everybody aboard, but 28-degree water, useless. So there's a lot of unsolved mysteries about the Titanic that'll probably remain unsolved. Um, Another mystery that, well, for some people it's a mystery, but it's really not, is the she was trying to set a speed record, and that's just not true. They did want her to beat the Olympics record, apparently, but you know, as far as beating like the Lusitania or Mauritania, that was never going to happen. Titanic was not made to be a fast ship. She was made for luxury and comfort. She was not made for speed. So she was never going to outdo the Lusitania or Mauritania or whatever the Cunard line had, had to offer at that point. So now, an iceberg doesn't normally drift that far, but in this case, the ice drifted a lot farther than it normally would. Now, Captain Smith steered the ship further south to try to avoid the ice field, but he didn't steer it far south enough. If he'd gone just a little more south, he probably would have missed the ice entirely. Another um, thing that people say is that if it hit the iceberg head on, would it have stayed afloat? It's possible, you know, it would have crushed the bow, but yeah, it might have stayed afloat in that case, but I don't even know if that would, you know, happen. Another thing is that the bottom of Titanic had a double bottom, so when it sideswiped the iceberg, it probably most likely ran over it too, because a lot of the ice, most of the iceberg is underwater. So it's what they say there was water coming in. I think it was boiler room 4, I believe, or 5, one of those. But the water was coming in from under, which means there was a hole in the bottom, not the side, the bottom. So yeah. And then of course the mistake they made was the watertight compartments only went as high as E deck, which the way the water was coming in, it just allowed the water to just keep coming in, just like an ice cube tray. Um, Another mystery is why the hell did they try to put it in reverse when they were trying to turn around the iceberg, and they lost the speed to probably, they probably would have gotten around it. But why did they try to stop then put it in reverse? That's another mystery. Uh, even when you say it now, it sounds like a bad idea. Uh, Another thing is, another thing I found out was that after they had stopped the ship after it hit the iceberg, and you don't see this in the movie or not a lot of the documentaries touch on it, but apparently they started the ship up again and went a little further. And you know what that means? It means it pushes more water in faster. That was a really stupid idea. I estimate that if they hadn't done that, the ship might have survived maybe, I'd say, another 20 minutes or so than it did. But pushing all that extra water in by starting the ship up and moving again, that was dumb. Another thing I want to address is the director of the White Star Line, J. Bruce Ismay. Now, he basically became the scapegoat because, he wanted to supposedly get into New York on Tuesday night and things like that. But it's mainly because he's called a coward because he jumped into a lifeboat. Well, there's a couple ways of looking at that. I mean, yes, he did jump into a lifeboat, but from what I understand, there was like nobody in that area at the time. So, I mean, I really don't think it would have made a difference if he just stayed on the ship and went down with the ship. He probably still would have been. Maybe he wouldn't have been called a coward, but he still probably would have been blacklisted the way he was. So I don't really think it, you know, made a difference either way. That, he lived or died. But yeah, did he make mistakes? Sure, but you know, who who the hell thought, a ship like that would sink on its maiden voyage? Now, another thing that continues to be embellished is that the Titanic was declared unsinkable, and only Shipbuilder magazine called the new Olympic class liners, Olympic and Titanic, practically unsinkable because of their safety features. But Harland and Wolff, that built the Titanic or White Star, never ever, not once, complained or um, declared the ships unsinkable. But the rumor was spread, and that's how it was, because no ship, no matter how safe it is unsinkable. But like I said, there are mysteries about the Titanic. Some have been solved, like the fire in the coal bunker was proven to be true. Some people think that that's just a theory, but that actually happened. The Titanic was actually more or less on fire because the coal that they transferred from the other ships wasn't properly wetted down. So what happened was is that it ignited and it caught fire and was on fire a few days for that trip. That's why there's a piece of the hull that's on display in Las Vegas, and you can kind of see, if you look at the piece of the hull, you can see where it's been charred. So that coal fire did actually happen. So that's one documentary that I have says is that because of the coal fire, the Titanic's only chance was to race the clock. But somebody I used to be friends with that thinks that coal theory is not true, but he obviously doesn't pay attention to anything. He also thought that James Cameron's Final Word documentary on the Titanic would be his final word. It wasn't. He's done at least two or three documentaries since then. I knew it wasn't going to be his final word. He loves the Titanic too much. It's like they say that once the Titanic enters your life, she never ever leaves, and that's true. I got into the Titanic. I'm not sure how old I was, but many years ago when I was a kid, and she's never left my mind. She's never left my self-conscious. So, but I don't know if I'm saying anything in this that you all don't know or hasn't already been said, but this is mainly just to get my oops, that's pretty cool. This is mainly just to get my show back up and running. I didn't realize that I had taken such a long hiatus from doing these episodes, and I also didn't realize that it had been so long since my last episode, and I also didn't realize I had only done 3 episodes up to this point, unless some of the videos got removed, which I guess YouTube, that's possible. But anyways, this is show you a couple more pictures in this book. This is painting of the Titanic. It's full of the Titanic drinking in too. So this is one of the best books you can get on the Titanic. Titanic Illustrated History. Also get the its companion, Lost Liners, which depicts, of course, the Titanic itself, but also its sister ships, the Britannic and the pretty sure the Olympics in there too. I have that one, of course. Lusitania, Andrea Dora, Empress of Ireland, they're all in there. So, anyways, I'll have episode 5 for you in the near future. The episode 5 is probably going to be on the Red Baron. At least that's what I'm leaning toward. But, anyways, I'll see y'all next time. Hope you enjoyed this. Like I said, I don't know if I said anything that hasn't already been said, but it's not really the purpose of this video. I'm trying to, think of things that you may not know, but there's always going to be mysteries to the Titanic because they say that the sea doesn't give up her mysteries. Well, that's true. And well, I almost forgot. On another note, that billionaire from Australia is apparently going to be building the Titanic too. And when the news guy asked him why, he's like, I'm 7 years old. What else am I going to do with my money? He's got a point. It's like, well, if he wants to build it, he's got the money to do it. Whatever. I'm curious to see what it would look like when it's done, but we'll see. Anyways, see y'all next time.